I had my abortion when I was 18 years old. I was in a not very healthy relationship. I knew when I found out that I was pregnant, that I wanted to get an abortion. So the first thing I did, I Googled like abortions. Like that was pretty much like the only thing that I knew to Google. I was first directed to a crisis pregnancy center. Um, and when I spoke to the lady on the phone, I asked her about like terminating the pregnancy, and she said like they don't do that there, but I should come in for like ultrasound and this and that. But I already knew that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't know what those organizations did at first, but I already knew I didn't want to get ultrasound. I just wanted to terminate the pregnancy. So I went to Planned Parenthood's website and I got an appointment with them. Once I got my appointment, I went in for my initial appointment. Now, um, the biggest barrier that I faced was transportation. Like I said, at the time I was 18, I was living with my grandmother. I worked a part-time job at a factory. I had just started college. So getting there without my family knowing was huge. Like that was like, and I was also depending on my abusive ex-boyfriend because he had a car. I didn't. So like getting there um, was a huge barrier. Another barrier that I faced was paying for it. So I had insurance under my mom, but obviously I couldn't use that insurance because she gets letters with like the statements and things like that when our insurance got billed. So obviously I couldn't use that. So um, when I went in for my first appointment, um, I got the ultrasound to see how far along I was. I thought I was, let me see, I thought I was like 6 weeks along or something like that. I ended up being 5 weeks along. Um, so I had a little bit more time to figure out what I wanted to do than I thought I did. Um, and then comes the part of getting to the second appointment. So I had to do 2 appointments because they don't allow you in the state of Indiana to go in to get it done in one appointment. They have to have a counseling appointment or whatever they call it, and then the appointment for your actual procedure. So like I said, the barrier that I was facing was money and transportation. Was not able to come in for my second appointment until I was 11 weeks. So if you think 5 weeks when I went in for my ultrasound, 6 weeks later, I was actually able to get it done. The only purpose of having them do 2 appointments is to try to persuade them otherwise. Um, and it's just like that was the biggest barrier that I faced when I was trying to get my abortion was the waiting period in that 24 hours between the counseling appointment and the actual procedure. That is what, you know, took me from what I wanted to do, which was get the pill, and then having to go and get the DNC, which that's not traumatic for everyone. But as an 18-year-old, I was terrified. I was this was the really the first time that I had had sex and I got pregnant. All of that compounded on, you know, hearing the horror stories that you find on Google about abortion and all this stuff. And like, I was terrified of getting the DNC. Like, I was like, what? They're gonna do what? So like that, like not having the choice to do that and having that waiting period there makes it so inconvenient. And it mainly makes it inconvenient for poor people and people of color. And that's the biggest like demographic that is trying to access these services and has the most trouble accessing these services. It just makes it 10 times harder for them. Not having the money to do it, I reached out to the Huge Abortion Fund here in my state, which I actually plan their fundraisers now every year. It's a great organization. If you don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. But yeah, so I reached out to them and they were able to give me funds to get my abortion taken care of. I paid out of pocket like $300 that me and my ex came up with together. which was really hard, making $10 an hour working part-time. Um, but yeah, so I got in for my appointment and um, I got my procedure and everybody was so caring and so nice. And like I walked out and I was very happy. Man, my life would have taken a completely different trajectory if I wasn't able to get my abortion back in 2016. I wouldn't have gone back to school. Now I'm awaiting an acceptance letter from a nursing program here from a community college in Indianapolis. I wouldn't have been able to do that. I had dropped out of college um, right before I ended up getting my procedure because it was just so hard to balance getting to class and then trying to get to appointments or making phone calls to see if I could get funding. Like I remember the last class that I was in before I got my abortion, I had to step out and I was on the phone for like an hour trying to get funding for my abortion. When I went back in, class was over, obviously. So yeah, definitely that. Um, yeah, I just feel I have control of my life. Like, and that's ultimately what I wanted. I'm no longer in an unhealthy relationship that ended very, very soon after I had my abortion. I was able to find courage to leave that situation. Um, and I'm in a much better place because I was able to access that. Like I'm not now I have a child depending on me. I'm not even financially stable, with just taking care of myself. So not having that also on top of, when COVID happened, I lost my job. You know what I'm saying? Like so many things like have happened that each time I'm so grateful that I was able to make that decision and see it through.